Hi, my name is Neen Williams-Teramachi. I say them pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director of New Works at the Fifth Avenue Theater. And this is Spotlight On. This is our web interview series where we have an opportunity to talk all things new musicals and meeting some incredible writers. Like today, we are going to be talking to the fabulous SassyBlack, who is part of our first draft commission series and is no stranger to the Fifth. Thank you so much for joining us, Sassy. We're so excited to talk to you today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Sassy, can you tell us a little bit about your show you developed with us, Emerald Jett, what you do on the show and what the show is about?
Yeah, Emerald Jett is my first ever musical, and it's come to life because of First Draft. So I'm very excited about that. I wrote the book and the music for it. So I did everything for it, but did a lot of research to do it. And I think I also worked with my ancestors, I'll say that, and all the sci-fi forces I could get. So Emerald Jett is a coming of age story with a 34-year-old Black queer woman from Seattle who's just trying to find herself and find a new spark for life after dealing with trauma around a car accident. So now she's trying to make a big change in her life. And as she's approaching her 35th birthday, she is approached and finds out that she is an alien from another planet with superpowers, and that if she does not make a grand change of sorts in her life in the next 7 days, that she won't have access to the planet, her powers, or any of that. So now she has a lot more decisions to make. And so I wanted to do something that was a coming of age story at an older age, because I feel like you're always coming of age. We always have an idea of what being a certain age will be like, but we really don't know what it holds for us until we get there.
I am particularly interested in your personal background with futurism and sci-fi.
Yeah, I have had interest in the future just forever, as many people do, right? We're just planning for a future. People ask what you want to be when you grow up, or, what do you want to do with your life, or what are you excited about, like when you graduate to next grade or when your birthday is. Like, how does it feel to be whatever age? You're like, I don't know, it's been a day, right? So it's always planning for the future. But for me, in terms of science fiction and that kind of future building, I've been watching Star Trek and Star Wars since I was a kid. Like, my dad grew up watching Star Trek from when it actually started. And when Star Wars came out, they took my older brother. And that's just been a part of our family tradition. I've watched all the sci-fi shows that I could handle. So, I've seen Sliders, and I can't even go, what is Red Dwarf? I've seen so many of these different crazy shows, or Homeboys in Outer Space, which was something that had like one season, always has been a big fan of it, and like fantasizing and working to create this future where I exist in it, right? So I think for me, like, it was only made sense to try and make like a sci-fi funk musical. Like, I wanted all the things that I like to come to fruition in this piece. So Emerald Jett is just like definitely like an ode to my life. But it's not my life. It's definitely like a parallel universe experience. Like, Emerald is an extension of myself, but also the launch of what I like to call the SassyBlack universe.
Ooh, SassyBlack universe.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about like the universe? Huge thing. What are the reaches of the SassyBlack universe?
Well, there's other planets, of course. It doesn't exist in this timeline. There's parallels to it, like things that might happen, or places that might exist here might also exist there, but also don't. So I think it's important to explore those different concepts, because it's really easy to just say like, no, this is all that it is. Like, we live here on Earth, that's all that it is. But constantly we're finding new things in the sea, different parts of the planet we've never been to. We're discovering artifacts and things that have been hidden. There's so much more to Earth that we don't even know. So I believe in a Marvel-esque way, I wanted to create my own universe. So SassyBlack does exist in the SassyBlack universe, but again, it's a different timeline version of myself. And Emerald Jett is also a part of that universe. So I've been creating these different storylines for a really long time. And with the fifth having this program, I was finally able to be like, okay, let me actually hunker down on something, because I've been working on Emerald Jett for years and I didn't know if we could actually be something. And I've never written a script before. I've acted in a lot of shows and I've read a lot of scripts, but I've never tried my hand at it until now. So it's been a lot of fun just expanding. And then, I realized it was a SassyBlack universe while writing it. I was like, oh, this actually ties into all of my other stories, all my other artwork and everything like that. And it feels really natural. But I also was like, there aren't a lot of Black universes in that way, like sci-fi universes that are pronounced in the same way. I think a lot in literature, but not in terms of like plays or film or TV. And so I definitely wanted to play with that and have a musical element too, because even everything I'm referencing, like Star Wars and Star Trek, it's not like it's a musical, or has like, the theme songs are memorable, right? Like the scores are memorable, but it's not the same. So I want to figure out how, and I am figuring out how to express this Emerald Jett SassyBlack universe while incorporating music in an organic way. So it feels like music's supposed to be there.
Right, absolutely. And you've had the unique opportunity in building a sci-fi world. There's often a lot of lore and, as you were saying, literal other planets. So when you're building a musical with all these different elements, can you tell me a little bit about your process in writing music for a parallel universe, a parallel world?
I feel like my music is already for a parallel world. I feel like and I've released like 15 projects over the past 6 years or something like that, and more music outside of my own solo pursuits. And I feel like it's music people catch on later. Sometimes it's super niche. Sometimes people all get it at once or whatever. And so I feel like my music already lives in another dimension. And I wanted Emerald Jett to sound like my music. So building music for the show was easy and hard, because I'm like, should I use songs that already exist? Should I use songs that are already out on records, or should I create everything new? So I decided to create everything new, or from beats that I hadn't released as well, and just toy with it in a different way, see what could be incorporated. I think it was easy because I have a lot of music and I'm a musician. It was hard because it has to be contextual and has to make sense in the scene. So there's a lot of picking and choosing going on, but the music sounds like hologram funk, which is like my designated genre. Yeah, and I made a project called like Wakanda Funk Lounge, and I was thinking about like, okay, what would it be like if I got invited to Wakanda to perform? What would that sound like? And then that's that approach. Or my album New Black Swing, which is all inspired by like early 90s hip hop and R&B music and late 80s music of those same genres. And so just took my approach to New Jack Swing. So I think that's what's happening here. Luckily, because I've already made some kind of concept projects in the past, that I can approach it this in that same way. I think the funniest thing is, though, like I've been making all the songs in my tone. And so like listening to people sing it when I had the readings, like we had to change the keys, but I also want to have something with lower register voices as well, because I think so many songs are made with sopranos in mind. And I think it's really special to have something that's for like low altos or high tenors. And exploring those vocal ranges. So it's been kind of fun to mess with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of those readings, I would love to hear a little bit more about what sort of I'm familiar with the program, of course, but I would love to hear a little more about like what sort of development Emerald Jett has already had, and where would you say Emerald Jett is currently?
So we had 2 readings. The first reading was without music. Without music being performed by the actors, which was really cool, which actually happened at the 5th. That was crazy because I had my parents read for the parents of Emeralds. And is this really interesting? It was the first time I ever had my script read. So that was really interesting. And I got a lot of good feedback from that helped me strengthen the script for the next reading, which was in LA, which another cast, which also immaculate, amazing actors and amazing teams. Like was awesome too. It's like I had really powerful teams that helped make me feel comfortable during this new process and new project. Yeah, I think hearing people perform it really helped me figure out where the songs need to go. Seeing how people reacted in their bodies. So the first reading was obviously just the actors without an audience. And the second reading was with an audience. I say obviously because I'm just talking to you, but the second reading was with an audience. I think seeing how people actually reacted when they saw it. Did they catch the jokes? Did the music make them move? Did they leave singing a song? And I did have people say, oh, that song, really got me and things like that. So now I'm in the process of, I took a big break from it because I think when you're that close to a project, I mean, the program was 18 months. So when you're that close to a project and you're under these flexible due dates, you are like really intertwined and involved with the work in the way that you are not ready to let go. You don't really want to change it because you've lived with these characters like this in this instance. So I had to give myself a bunch of space. And now revisiting it, Emerald lives in me differently. All the other characters have evolved because of these readings. And now I am strengthening each character and giving them more background. So that's been really important for me to do. I'm also taking a lot of online classes and watching a lot of workshops and studying a lot because I've been a writer for a long time and a musician for a long time. That does not necessarily make you a playwright. Writing a script makes you a playwright, right? So now I'm a playwright. But even with that in mind, there's always an opportunity to learn. So I've just been strengthening that so I can world build. And I've been watching these crazy classes about world building. I was like, oh my God, this is going to take another 10 years. This is going to take forever. But at the same time, it's super exciting because I can feel the world growing. Like I can see the planet that Emerald's from. I can see what this Earth is like compared to our Earth. What's the difference? What are the similarities and things like that. So that's what a lot of the growth has been. And then also, this is kind of a long-winded answer, but then also I'd like to add that I've been thinking about how am I going to bring the project to life? So that's been like really important because it is really expensive to have a full production of this, especially with like how many actors you have, like what kind of sets and everything like that. But it's expensive in time and energy to pursue it in any direction. So just trying to figure out or currently figuring out which is the next step so that people continue to get excited about it and the story grows in an organic way and in a sustainable way. So it's not like I just have a one night, one night only, and it never happens again because I'm in debt forever.
Listen, making new musicals is so expensive. I don't think people quite realize it, but it totally is. And there's so many different steps and directions that it could possibly go in terms of development. As you said, you had some readings, 29-hour readings, and there's other avenues. I think you did an event recently. Can you tell me about this fundraising event that you had recently?
Yeah, I did a live stream fundraiser where I played some of the songs from the show. And I just talked about the process, which was super fun. And then I launched a Patreon. I relaunched a Patreon that is more focused on some of the bigger works that I'm doing, including Emerald Jett. So now I just recently shared a character mock-up, which is like crazy. I'm doing a lot of stuff internally before I bring on anyone to be a part of a team. I have to make sure I research because it's a long-term relationship. It's like a marriage, basically, like gonna have to get married to like 10 people to make this happen, But yeah, the Patreon's been really fun though, because it's an intimate way. People can show up on a regular basis. and learn more about the project. So just trying to find, again, sustainable ways to crowdfund for this project. I think that's what it is. Because of course I could do like an Indiegogo or Kickstarter or GoFundMe and things like that. But that also takes a lot of work. And I think like most people are like, just go do this. They don't realize it takes hours of time and planning and things like that. So in order to be like sustainable and thoughtful about it, I've just been pulling back and just focusing on doing the work and sharing it through my Patreon. Like these are two things, even though there's like 100 things in this one.
So what are some ways, Patreon being one of them, that folks who are interested in Emerald Jett or your work can get involved and get more information?
Yeah, you can go to my website. I designed it and I update it. But I try to send out emails monthly. It's more like every 6 to 8 weeks. And I give little updates in there. The Patreon's the strongest because again, I am trying to raise money specifically for Emerald Jett. So it's good to know that these folks are dedicated. So like if I do have a screening or if I want to share the script or anything like that, I know what's in like a dedicated crew of people who are excited about that. The newsletters are more about like anything I'm doing, like a performance, a DJ set, playlist I'm making, or other cool announcements for things that I'm doing. And social media is not really like the hot spot anymore. I'm more of an Instagrammer again, and I've kind of been that for a while. So like my Instagram, it's also because people just actually interact with me there. Like they're excited, they want to watch it, they want to talk to me. So I'm like, great, Instagram can be that. But the other platforms aren't as strong in terms of the people who want to support and show up for me. So it's either my website or Instagram or my Patreon.
So I think about like as a producing body and as someone as part of a theater, I am always interested in the question about who the audience is and what you as a writer hope that folks take away from seeing it. Can you talk a little bit about what your hopes are for that?
Yeah, obviously I want everybody to feel it. I want everyone to be like, oh, I love this. And that's not realistic at all, but I wanted to make sure I said that first. But it's for anyone who's ever felt like an outsider, like maybe they're special or maybe they were special and now they're not. And now maybe they are again, anyone who's felt like indecisive in their life about their craft or their purpose. Emerald is definitely trying to figure it out. She's a visual artist, but she's a barista. Like, which one is she really? Like people who have to pay the bills so they don't feel like they can indulge in their craft. I think it's a good story for 20 somethings and 30 somethings and 40 somethings, to realize that just because you didn't do it when you're a teen or in your 20s doesn't mean there's not possibility to do it again. And yeah, I hope it inspires people and makes them hopeful. And I hope it is relatable to, I want a lot of Black women, Black folks to see it and feel like, oh, wow, like I wanted a story like that. And I want anyone else who's not Black to feel like, oh, wow, there's this different type of depth here. Like this isn't all based in the anti-Blackness to some degree, or this actually has to do with being Black, but not in the way that I thought Blackness occurs. So, just wanted to shed light on another Black perspective because there's so many amazing artists who do that, and there is a variety to being Black. There's a diversity to Blackness as there is with any other culture. One person does not describe the experience. So, I just want this to be another experience, but it's funny, it's goofy, it's funky, it's a sci-fi funk musical. It's intriguing. And I want people to experience that and feel that.
Yeah, I mean, already in the couple readings that we've done of Emerald Jett, there's been this really beautiful and rallying community that has already been built. And I'm just so excited to see wherever Emerald Jett goes with the continuation of building that community of folks who are excited about the world that's being built. So Thank you so much, Sassy, for talking to me about Emerald Jett. It's a beautiful show. I've had the pleasure of listening to it and reading it and experiencing it. And it's a really wonderful time. And again, just the beautiful community that's built around it. So if folks are interested in learning more, you can take a look at Sassy's Patreon, Instagram, websites, get on that newsletter. And we hope the best for Emerald Jett. And thank you again for being part of our first draft commission process. It has been a fabulous 18 months, and we're excited to see where you go next.
Thank you so much, Neen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.